Well, we've hit the midway point of Death Battle season, and for the break I've decided that I just give you my thoughts on every track we've gotten so far and rank them based on how much I like them. I'm definitely not doing this because I need more time to work on bigger videos in the meantime. Keep in mind that music taste is extremely subjective, so I don't expect everyone to agree with my exact placements, and while I could base these on how well they work with their episodes' fight animations, pretty much all of these complement their episodes really well. So instead, this is just how good they are to me on their own, and how well they fit the characters. If this was looking at how well they complement their episodes, pretty much all of these would be borderline perfect. Let's see how I rank them.
Oh? A visitor?
Mother! I am laughing here!
Apex of Doom is a good track, but holy hell is this the most boring thing I've heard all season. It's so good for atmospheric things, and I could definitely imagine this being useful for tons of different situations and scenes, but listening to this track on its own, I was checking my phone, biting my nails, making myself some food, and ended up tuning out almost all of the track. If you were to ask me to hum any part of this song, I would give you the blankest stare possible. Every other track this season, I could hum some part. This one? Nothing.
Yes!
So remember what I said about musical taste being subjective? I'm not really into Chaos Unraveled, and it's a shame, because this is what I was most hyped for with this matchup. Because Sonic and Kill La Kill has some fucking spectacular tracks, and while this track is not what I'd call bad, it's not even close to a bad track, I just don't care about it. And I know there's going to be tons of Chaos Unraveled fans, Phantom, who are going to be really upset about this placement, but it's just how I feel. I think the track is just sort of generic. It sounds like some backing track you'd hear in Sonic Adventure 2 for one level and then forget about immediately. It has a good chorus, yes, I think the chorus is actually fantastic, but the rest of it's just boring. And then there's the fucking fight like the fucking devil wishes he could line, and I hate this lyric. I'm gonna go on a tangent about one fucking line that comes up, twice, thrice? It feels so uncomfortably forced. Like, ignoring what words are said, the way it's sung makes it sound like it's trying to fit too many syllables into the space. It just doesn't sound right. But also, I cringe every time I hear it. It sounds so fucking cringy. Legitimately, you could just swap it from fight like the fucking devil wishes he could to fight like the devil fucking wishes he could, and that sounds better to me at least. As a complete metalhead, I can remember 3 big times that I picked out fuck in a song, the word. No, not 3 times, and you'll see what I mean, and there might be more, but I don't remember them. These main instances are with Zimmer's Hole, songs like When You Were Shouting at the Devil and We Rule This Fucking Land. And they're intentionally doing it for comedic effect. And I know they're doing this for comedic effect because this band is literally named after a man's asshole, and this album includes Nathan Explosion from Metalocalypse singing the Vow song. That's as much as I'm willing to play, worried about YouTube copyright. I've been blocked for fucking 3 seconds of metal songs before. The second is most Steel Panther songs. Steel Panther being a band that's very much taken the piss, you can just look at some of their track names and that tells you all you need to know about them. And the last one is Metallica's Hardwired. Now I'm sure there's more examples, but rarely do I ever hear it being said in an attempt to be serious. Hardwired is one of the few examples off the top of my head that tries to take itself seriously with the word fuck in it. And there's probably tons in nu metal, but I don't give a shit about nu metal. But usually, I just cringe when I hear it trying to be played for seriousness, and this is no different. But I gotta ask, what does this lyric have to do with Shadow and Ryuko? Ryuko's certainly got no connection to Satan. In fact, most of the symbolism in Kill La Kill that's religious is Buddhist symbolism. Like the Elite Four are like the 4 heavenly kings and such, and there's a lot of correlation between Ryuko's journey and the journey to actualization in Buddhist stuff you don't need to know. And with Shadow, Black Doom, I guess, is the best this can refer to. I don't know, when I think of satanic characters in Sonic, I think of Iblis and Mephiles, and I associate them with Silver more. I guess Mephiles is Shadow's shadow in appearance, but is that it? Is it just a reference to Mephiles? Fucking Mephiles? I don't hate Mephiles, but it's Mephiles. If anything, this lyric to me screams of the notion of these two being edgy. Ryuko is not even remotely edgy, and if someone tells you that she's edgy, they either haven't seen the show, they're trolling, or they're stupid. Because the edgiest and broodiest moment from Ryuko is right after she realizes she's not even human, and she's actually half alien. And I think that is a very fair time to brood and be edgy a bit. You know, non-edgy people can have edgy moments, because we're human. And while I joke about Shadow being edgy, he's really only overly edgy in Shadow the Hedgehog. He's more of a cocky, arrogant smartass in most of his appearances. So this lyric feels to me more like it was written with no knowledge of the characters and just the assumption that they're edgy and they would give a shit about Satan. They would go around saying fuck, which they don't. The most they swear is shit and a damn. And it just doesn't sound right. And I'm going on a lot about it because it's the most memorable part of the song for me. Which is not a good thing. Bad. The track itself isn't bad though. I think this is a good track. It's just mostly boring.
Finally,
Booster Gold.
our battle will be legendary.
Ignoring how batshit stupid the name of this track is, I like Dragons and Dumplings, I just don't like it that much. Everything around when Poe activates his Chi Dragon is great, and I love it. It adds in bits of music directly from Kung Fu Panda 3, and has a far more Kung Fu Panda feel to it, but everything prior to that feels like a death battle track, and not in a good way. In the way of, this track has a bunch of unfitting and unnecessary pauses and weird little musical moments that only make sense within the very specific context of the animation. Listened on its own, it very clearly doesn't sound like a proper musical track at points, and that's not Theirwolf's fault or anything. This is definitely not a problem with what Theirwolf's done or with the intention of the song, because this song needed those pauses for the matchup. Now, I think personally every death battle this season needs a pause at one point or another to let the impact of a few things actually sink in, instead of just point A, point B, point C, with no time to really let things have an impact and sit with you. Aside from Yoda vs. Mickey, that was basically flawless, but this is a matchup where if it didn't have those pauses for more comedic moments, even the general public who just wants to vacantly stare at two power sets bounce off each other with flashy colours are gonna notice something's off. And as a result, this track ends up with a ton more cuts than I'd like, and bits of music that sound completely separated from what comes directly after or directly before. And if you made me listen to it without any context of the episode, I might even say it's an outright bad track, but it's not. Especially the ending bit, which is legitimately fantastic. This is just a track that suffers from the fact that it has to be the single track that plays for the entirety of the animation. If this was not a track that had to be played for the whole animation, I believe it would probably end up being a little bit better to me.
Lego Thanos minifigure!
It feels weird having this up here, because the track overall is pretty middle of the road to me, but I do think that Stars of the Universe is doing better with the pauses than Dragons and Dumplings. It feels more natural when it goes down a few notches for the pause, because there's still some music beats in there that it sort of flows into a little bit better in my eyes, or ears. It feels more like a complete song, and I think overall the sound is nice. That's all I gotta say. It's a good track. It didn't blow me away, but most tracks don't blow me away. If most tracks blew me away, then that would mean the tracks that do blow me away no longer matter as much, because most of them do that. It's a good track though. I think we've had nothing but good tracks, and I know some dickhead's gonna go assuming that I'm saying these tracks are bad just because they're low on a ranking of every track.
So, whose rear am I kicking this time?
I don't know.
Hearts of Light is a really good track, but okay, so it starts off extremely well, setting up a great atmosphere and making this feel like a big deal. But then, after a while, it sort of just becomes alright. It's good. Like, it's really good. But there's nothing terribly memorable to me. It doesn't keep me engaged the whole way. But then the ending kicks in, and what a way to end the track. In fact, most of what I think people remember from this track is how it ends. The ending bit of this track is legitimately beautiful and stunningly well done. Legitimately, in the right context, this could probably bring chills. I can't overstate how good the ending of this track is, and if the entire track was of this level of quality, it would have gotten even higher. Final Breath is carried almost entirely by how good the existing Final Fantasy VII track Let the Battles Begin is, as most of this track is just Let the Battles Begin from Final Fantasy VII. and it's fucking great. It's by far one of my favorite battle themes from any Final Fantasy game, and it being the focus here definitely put a smile on my face. And that moment where it suddenly switches to Zelda music is really intense and heavy, and that's also an issue I have with it. The track is great, but I wish there was more of a fusion of the two styles of music, with Legend of Zelda's more fantasy style tracks and Final Fantasy VII's more metal tracks. Now, I think that I can hear a bit of it at points, right? I can hear a bit of it, but I wish that it was a bit more noticeable of a blend to me. Admittedly, I do listen to a lot of power metal, and there's a good deal of fantasy power metal bands that do that a lot, like Avantasia and Rhapsody of Fire, Luca Turilli, so on. So maybe I'm just more used to it and I expected more than most people, which might be my bad, but still. I would like more of a combination of the two instead of what's honestly just a Final Fantasy VII track, but then randomly in the middle there's a few seconds of Zelda. But still, that's a damn good track. I listened to that several times before I actually got around to sitting down to record this video. It's just damn good.
Oh man, what I wouldn't give to beat the shit out of Elon Musk and toss his ass off a cliff.
I said everything I needed to about Kings of Iron when I first reviewed Heihachi vs. Geese. It's the perfectly blended love child of Tekken and King of Fighters tracks. It's great, there's so much energy, and it's almost better than the episode itself, which is saying something because I really like Heihachi vs. Geese. Oh, I just can't get over how well this came together. It's not even my normal genre of music, but I really love it. It's so good. I don't have anything to say, but it's so good. It's fucking good. I want to listen to Kings of Iron right now.
Are those two sets of ears? She must have
Time manipulation.
I fucking love Thundershroud. I listened to it maybe 5 or 6 times in a row before I even sat down to write this part of the script, and I realized when sitting down to write it that I don't even know how to explain it or like tell you why I love Thundershroud so much. I guess I could say it's what I wanted Lost Ice Storms to be. It sounds so good on the ears. I love the vocals from Lady... I'm gonna fuck that up. I just shouldn't try. And something about just the aesthetic of the track, let's go with that word, aesthetic, just works for me. I love the instrumental, I love the style, I love the vocals. I think it fits both Attack on Titan and Ruby so well without sounding like a straight rip from either. The lyrics are good. Oh, it's just so hard to explain why I like Thundershroud so much without wanting to just say listen to it. It's just, I love this track. I love this track, and you can't take that away from me, Ian. So that was my ranking of the tracks up till now. I know most of you probably won't agree with it, especially because I know a lot of you fucking love Chaos Unraveled, and that's fine. I still think it's a good track. I still listen to it from time to time. This is very subjective. I hope you guys at least can accept my opinion, and I'm going to be very interested to see what's the most popular one. I'd be very surprised if there are a ton of Apex and Doom supporters in the comments, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good one. I'll see you next time.